here are the 9 lined up for that tiebreaker over Olaf Peterson's shortened course, 6 fences with 7 jumping efforts. Time allowed 40 seconds, and it is Leslie McNaught-Mendley for Switzerland that gets that favoured berth, the last draw, riding Pirol. This will be straight against the clock. I say 6 fences, a shortened course. The first on course, Roger Bost for France, riding Norton de Ries, this 12-year-old French gelding by the thoroughbred Duc de Fers. Roger Yves, his father, runs an equestrian centre in Barbizon. He's a World Championship team gold medalist. Roger Yves really going for it. You may have heard Eric Wouters with the Dutch commentary there. A little bit of a crossover. But that just goes to prove that we broadcast live in 4 languages as Roger Yves scores the magic clear, opens it up, and it's a tough target too. 29.41 seconds. Roger Yves for France, riding Norton de Ries. There's 8 more of the finest jumping riders in Europe, if not in the world, to come behind him. And here's one who's quickly making a name for himself, Alois Pullman-Schwerkost, riding Landlord. And he's part of the Schockermoller stable. Landlord, an 11-year-old Hanoverian by Zanzibar. And if I remember rightly, this is also won the Grand Prix at Mechelen about 2 years ago under Ludger Beerbaum. So 29.41, that's the target that's been set by the first to go, Roger Yves Bost. Now Pullman-Schwerkost for Germany. A little bit wide on his turns. And the crowd calling them home there, but they are outside. It may be a close call, but in show jumping, or rather in racing terms, if we convert the narrowness and the tightness of show jumping finals, at 30.72 seconds would put him about 2 lengths off the leader. Eric Navet now, the reigning world champion and European champion from France, with Waiti Quito de Bossé. This is the homebred stallion by Jalisco, bred on Eric Navet's family farm in Normandy, and this is the horse, in fact, that carried him to both his World Championship title and his European Championship title in La Baule last summer. Time to beat 29.41 seconds, set up by his countryman Roger Yves Bost. Roger Yves will be up in the jockey's stand watching this one. Navet, who looked to have the, I think it was the Bordeaux qualifier, absolutely in his pocket until picking up time faults, but anyway, he hasn't got this one anywhere near his pocket. Now that 4-faulter in 30.24 seconds. So Roger Yves Bost stood up there in the van with Norton de Ries from the first berth, the first draw, and there is Roger Yves with Hugo Simon, I noticed, sitting next to him up in the jockey's stand there. Knowing he's still in charge with that target clear in 29.41, but this is the crowd's big favourite, John Whittaker for Britain, with Mr. and Mrs. Bradley's Henderson Milton, the absolute wonder horse, let's say, of show jumping. This horse won something like £950,000 in prize money. They have twice winners of the Volvo World Cup Championship. They won it here for the first time in the Dortmund arena, and then went on last year to win it back-to-back for the second time in Gothenburg, Sweden. And John really asking Milton to stretch on. He doesn't have to qualify for the finals. He qualifies as the defending champion. That's quite an effort, 30.37. Puts him into second place on the leaderboard at the moment. And while we look at the jockeys there, let me just tell you that Mr. and Mrs. Bradley have now announced that they will make Henderson Milton available to the British selectors for the Barcelona Games this summer. So that's good news for Britain, as Milton did not go to Seoul. The Bradleys didn't like the long journey, and Mrs. Bradley is not particularly keen on the Olympic Games. But Jacques Nagel now for Germany with Leroy Brown. 29.41, the time to beat. Jack taking a cut at it too, very short on that turn. Farmer breeder on this 8-year-old Oldenburger gelding. Big, powerful horse. Tremendous scope, but very quick away on landing. And this time's looking good. He chanced it to that last double, they just couldn't reach that. Powerful as Leroy Brown is, the Oldenburger gelding just couldn't make that spread coming out. 4 faults there in 29.83. And I make that quickly looking down my figures. That puts Jacques Nagel into second place on the standings. You can see the horse trying his heart out to get to that back rail. That's what finals are all about in show jumping. You've got to take calculated gambles. You've got to be daring enough to take calculated risks. If they come off, you're an absolute megastar. If they don't work, well, you're down the line. Meredith Michaels now for the USA. Only 22 years old with Jack of Diamonds. Been on the European circuit all winter, based with Paul Schockemoeller and being coached by the former American rider, although she still does ride for the USA, Terry Rudd. Comes from Los Angeles, California. This Irish-bred horse by King of Diamonds, and it looks to me as if Meredith Michaels is riding to orders. She's not taking on the clock. Just going for the steady clear. Get the points. Well, this can be just a braver gamble. Go for the steady clear, then you do knock a silly rail out and you're well down the line because you've lost out on time. But she has got the clear. That'll do her well. She'll get plenty of Volvo World Cup points for that. 39.81. Which puts her into, there is Paul Schockemoeller in the jockey stand. Thomas Fruman now for Austria with Bockmann's Genius, formerly ridden by Ludger Beerbaum. 29.41 the time to beat, set up by the French rider, and just a bit of a stumble on that turn, but Fruman was quick to tidy it up. Again, he's using the same technique with this horse, not interfering too much, just letting it run along. Go on, my son, you do the jumping. And they're well up and nicely out over the last. That's clear in 28.91. That's 3/10 of a second up on Roger Ebos. That's our leader now in this 9th round of the Volvo World Cup qualifier, and there's Bost just scratching his head while he watches that, knowing he's now at best second place. Because that's our new leader now, Thomas Fruman for Austria, Bockmann's Genius. And here's the man who's got to beat that time. The second last to go. Remember, it's 28.91. And it's Ludger Beerbaum for Germany with Almox's Classic Touch. Ludger, a rider with tremendous courage and a very cool temperament. Really moving on between his fences. Very short on that turn back. This one's looking very clean as well, because Almox's Classic Touch is getting well into the air, and I make them on that turn back there, just slightly up on Fruman. They turn now with only the last double to go. 28.91 is the time to beat, but they've just dwelt a bit going down that, as they cross the line in 29.24. So that moves into second place now, dropping Roger Ebos, the French rider, down, but Thomas Fruman still in command for Austria with Bockmann's Genius, with that clear in 28.91. And there's Fruman looking very pleased with himself and with the horse, and there's Dirk Hafmeister going up and congratulating the horse as well. So we only have one more to go now in this 9-horse final. Fruman lights himself a calming cigarette there. And it's Leslie McNaught-Mendley with Pirol for Switzerland. It's got to be 28.91. When the chips are down, there's very few that can be any quicker than Leslie. She's short on that turn back. Checks then to the big oxer. Lets the horse run on. Just a short check then to that vertical. And they're up on that turn, be it only slightly. Very tight fractions, only the double to go now. Leslie McNaught-Mendley for Switzerland with Pirol. The crowd clearing her home, cheering her home. They've gone. Yes, they've got it. Through that double. 28.74. Well, that's a margin over Thomas Fruman there, who was at the top of the leaderboard. That's a margin of only 0.17 seconds. So I was relating show jumping to racing terms earlier on. Well, that was the shortest of short heads. Dirk Hafmeister saying, well done. Leslie McNaught-Mendley for Switzerland. There's the full result with Pirol. Second, Thomas Fruman for Austria. Third, Ludger Bierbaum for Germany. Roger E. Bost for France in fourth place. John Whittaker for Britain, with the great Hedison Milton finishing in fifth place there. Sixth, Alwaz Pullman Schreckers for Germany. Meredith Michaels, the young USA rider, in seventh place. Jack Nagel in eighth for Germany. Eric Nave for France then, coming into the ninth position with Waiti Quito de Bossy. And the Volvo car worth some 13 to 14,000 pounds goes to the winner as the Swiss flag is raised for the presentations. But there's good money running down the line. Thomas Fruman, I make it, has picked up something like 7,000 pounds for second place. Ludger Bierbaum, 5,000 pounds, and Roger E. Boss, 3,000 pounds odd in third place. The Swiss national anthem now being played for Leslie McNaught-Mendley. This is the first time that Leslie has won the Volvo World Cup qualifier. And remember, the top 19 will go forward to the finals in Del Mar, California. Big smiles and congratulations. That's Count von Landsberg of the International Equestrian Federation, and Max Amann, the Volvo World Cup director. Leslie, I say, with a big smile, and thoroughly delighted as we look down the line now of the presentations. Thomas Fruman, the runner-up, Ludger Bierbaum in third place, Roger E. Bost, and there's the young American rider, Meredith Michaels, followed by Jacques Nagel, and the world and European champion in ninth place there, Eric Nave for France. Welcome back to the Brabanthallen in Hertogenbosch in Holland for this 10th round of the Volvo World Cup qualifiers, this winter's that is, for jumping riders. Now there's the course designed by Henk-Jan Draber, as I was saying earlier. 11 fences, 14 jumping efforts, that's with the double combination and the treble combination. We'll have plenty of time as we watch the riders in the preliminary round to make a study of this course. But let me just remind you briefly on the scoring. If they lure a fence, that's 4 faults. The first refusal, 3 faults. If they have 3 refusals on the course, then they're eliminated. And if they go over the time allowed,
qualifier in Hertogenbosch is for me a very important class, or a very nice class, because I was the winner last year in this qualifier. For the public here of Holland, is something special for me because I'm born Dutch. That's why I think I will try to do my best in this competition. We have a very tough competition, I believe, because the course is quite difficult. We have a lot of technical problems in this class, and we have some very, very good riders here, some very good horses. So I think it will be a very, very tough competition.
Frank Sluthark now riding for Germany, as you were saying, last year's winner. Is talking to us there, and nobody reads the competition better than Franka. And let me just finish off what I was saying about the scoring. The time allowed is 76 seconds. If they go over that time allowed, then they get a quarter of a time fall for every second over the top. Having got that out of the way, let's get down to the action. Jos Lansink for Holland with Optiber's Libero H. The 11-year-old Holsteiner by Landgraf. Jos has just come back after some 5 months off. Took a very bad fall at the back end of last autumn. Literally almost smashing a leg. Has screws and nuts and bolts put into it and what have you. But here he is back where he belongs, to the big time. Jos, who's been twice individual European Championship bronze medalist. He was European Championship team gold medalist in La Baule, France last year, and having just tipped off his hat, which was getting in the way. Now say we'll have plenty of time to have a look at this course designed by Hank van Rabbe. Jos, who finished 6th in the Volvo World Cup finals in 1991. He's been national champion twice. And it's interesting, under our national rules, British Show Jumping Association, that hat wouldn't have come off because he would have to wear a chin strap. But under international rules, they don't. But that's another story. That's our first clear round in this Volvo World Cup qualifier in the Brabanthallen in Hertogenbosch, Holland. And it's set up by the hero of the crowd, Jos Lansink. Roger-Yves Bost for France, riding Président Papillon Bose. That's a 9-year-old by Alazan. And Roger-Yves, 25 years old. He was 3rd in the Volvo World Cup finals in Gothenburg last year. And World Championship team gold medalist in 1990. His parents won a run on equestrian centre, Barbizon. Just that one clear round so far from Jos Lansink. These fences up to 1.50 m, spreads out to 1.60 m, 1.80 m. This is the treble combination. Runs a vertical, oxer to an oxer. There's long distances inside Hank Drabbe's treble combination and double combination to the style. He's also set them technical problems on the flat with what are called related distances in between the fences. That's any fences set at 6 non-jumping strides or under. And another one who's lost his tip foot. But it's a 4-faulter for Roger-Yves Bost for France with Président Papillon Bose. John Whittaker now for Britain with Henderson Gammon. It's a 13-year-old Oldenburger by Goldspatz. John, who finished 4th in the World Cup qualifier in Dortmund. That was on Henderson Milton. And together they're the reigning World Cup champions, having won in 1991 and in 1990. He was the second rider ever to win it back-to-back, the other being the great Canadian rider Ian Miller. Now, John is not jumping Henderson Milton. They had a bit of a problem on the first day. It seems Henderson Milton's just knocked himself, given himself a bit of a foot problem, so John's resting him off. But John's in the happy position. He doesn't have to qualify for the Volvo World Cup finals, which will be in Del Mar, California next month. There are in fact only 2 more qualifiers to go on the European circuit. That's Paris-Bercy, which we on Eurosport will be covering live for 3 days. Gothenburg in Sweden, which we'll also be covering live over that weekend. That's 4 faults on John's card. Just rode on over that short distance down to that oxer. An oxer being a box parallel or near box parallel. Barely stroked that, but the stroke's enough. Long one stride through that double oxer to vertical. So we won't be seeing John Whittaker in the jump off. Those on equal scores will go forward to the jump off, and there'll only be 1 jump off this time against the clock. That's the format. 1 preliminary round, 1 jump off. Ludo Philippin now for Belgium, riding Optibus Daco. This is a 12-year-old Belgian-bred stallion by Lugano van la Roche. Ludo, who's the reigning national champion, was 13th in the Volvo World Cup finals in 1989. A lot of good form behind them. See him just checking there for that distance, and then a broken line there to the fourth fence, that vertical. Big Oxer there to a treble combination. Big Oxer in the middle and 2 strides then. And I say they're long ones, they're just a bit, both those distances a bit on the long side. 1 stride between the first and second element, 2 between the second and third. Well, there wasn't a lot of luck about that either, was there? And again, Octopus Darko just dragging the hind legs through. Not really, well, I started to kick it away then. I was just about to say he wasn't really kicking away that hind end, but he is now. In fact, he's only just starting to jump, but again, he gets far too low and knees out that rail. 12 faults then for Ludo Philippa and Octopus Darko. Jean-Claude Van Gienberg for Belgium, riding Osterkarpit's Queen. Jean-Claude, who finished 10th in the World Cup finals last year. That was in Gothenburg. And he won the PTT prize here in Hertogenbosch. This is a 12-year-old Dutch-bred mare by Rigoletto. Jean-Claude, who comes from a family in carpet manufacturing, being full-time on the international circuit in show jumping. Oh, and he was just a little bit of correction he had to make going to that third element, but that was beautifully ridden. Very intelligent. And just going on and attacking. He may have just let the mare float on a bit more there, and you can see him just gathering it together, shortening up his range and tidy it up. Now this broken line to the double. Well, a 4-faulter for Jean-Claude Van Gienberg for Belgium with Osterkarpit's Queen. He just let her run down a bit to that one, a little bit too loose and a little bit too untidy, and paid the penalty. Thomas Fruman for Austria, riding the Freak. Thomas, as you would have seen earlier, second in the Volvo World Cup in Dortmund, third, or second again rather, in Mechelen. That was just after Christmas. And although he's based now with Alvin Schockemöller, the 1976 Olympic champion in Germany, Thomas originally from Vienna, and he's made it to 9 Volvo World Cup finals. Just see him through the treble combination. Just came up a bit late catching that front rail. And his best in the Volvo World Cup finals was 14th in 1990. And it's just coming apart now. Yes, completely. 3 down, that gives him 12 faults for Thomas Fruman and the Freak. And we won't be seeing them going forward to the jump off as we did in Dortmund. Here they go to that last double, horse absolutely flat. Taking both rails off, the front one and the back one. Nick Skelton now for Britain with Everest, Florida. Nick, who runs his own yard in Warwickshire, but at Christmas he signed up to ride for Everest, the well-known UK double glazing company. They've been major players in show jumping for something like 20 years. And Nick, in fact, used to ride for them when he was #1 jockey to that great maker of jockeys, Ted Edgar. And he's once again, as I would say, running his own yard in Warwickshire. He's once again under the membership, under the managership, rather, of Ted Edgar. And Nick, who's riding in his 112th Volvo World Cup. He's made it to 11 finals. Best result was a very close second in Berlin in 1985 behind the American Conrad Homfeld. He really sat down and attacked that treble combination. Drove forward all the time. Four faults on his scorecard so far for Nick Skelton of Britain. Now, as I say, that broken line now to the final double, and he's checking, trying to see his stride there, but they just missed it, catching that front rail. So 8 faults there for Nick Skelton with Everest, Florida. So we only have one clear round so far. Jos Lansink for Holland with Optibers Libero H. Scenic driving down that line, just dragging that back rail as they did. Well, we'll be back again after the break with more of the Volvo World Cup show jumping from... Welcome back to Hertogenbosch for this 10th round of the Volvo World Cup. It's winter series for jumping riders. We have one clear round so far. We're in the first round, by the way, and that clear is for Holland, Jos Lansink riding Optibers Libero H. On course now, Lutke Beerbaum for Germany, riding Almox Rush On. Lutke finished second in Antwerp, was third in Dortmund, and he's the winner of 2 classes here in the Brabanthallen in Hertogenbosch. He's made it to 2 Volvo World Cup finals. Almox Rush On, a 10-year-old Westphalian by Rapport. Lutke, who runs his own yard in Bavaria, riding for Alexander Moxel. And he took this horse on a short time ago, the top national horse, but Lutke's brought it on to the international level. We're looking for another clear round to force the jump off against the clock. First fence never very demanding. Just to get them going. A lovely sweeping turn to a vertical. Vertical there at fence 4. About 8,000 people here at the Brabanthallen. Now down to the treble combination, vertical going in, then an oxer. 2 strides out over an oxer. Lutke, a very cool rider. Lovely accurate riding down there, just saw his distance so well. The moment it started to take shape in front of him, he went for it. Now, can this be our second clear round in this Volvo World Cup qualifier? Through the double, out over the vertical. That'll do. So, Lutke Beerbaum for Germany with Almox Rush On. Joins Jos Lansink for Holland with Optibers Libero H. But Lutke is a bit worried. So I'm looking back as he landed. Let's watch him in slow motion. He goes through that final double. Seems to be no problems there. Now he's looking back at the hind leg of his horse. Franke Sluther for Germany with Optibers VolvoWorldCup. And I'm sure these two, to our Eurosport regular followers, need no introduction at all. They're just as big a stars on our screens as they are in the arena. VolvoWorldCup, this superb Hanoverian by Watzmann. And it was Franke who won here last year. He's already won a class here with Optibers Prestige. And he's been to 7 Volvo World Cup finals. Just checking his girth there, his tack. And his best result was a 3rd placing in 1990. And that was in Dortmund. So we have 2 clear rounds. One for Germany, Lutke Beerbaum with Almox Rush On. One for Holland, Jos Lansink with Libero H. Franke taking his time to line up. They have a minute after the bell has rung to get through the starting line. This big, powerful horse that has such floating and elegant movement. And this horse is on form. He will literally drop down to any fence and give it 18 inches. Franca, a very quiet, sympathetic rider. Oh, we need that one out. Just didn't give himself enough power coming off the ground there, Franca. Got away with that one. Came down that related line well. Now to the final double. Just gave that a bit of a tap there going in, but anyway, that's a four-fault turf for Franca Sluthark and Optibus VolvoWorldCup. Now I can tell you what Luca Beerbaum was worried about as we watch Franca go down this treble combination with VolvoWorldCup, and just see both his front toes in fact caught their front rail. Now the problem was that Almox Rush On has lost a shoe, pretty certain it's off the near hind, and there's Ludger pointing out where it is in the arena. As we come to Piet Rijmakers for Holland with Optibus Retina Z. Piet, who won the opening class here with Optibus Renato Z, rides for the Zangerheide stud, run by Leon Melchior. All these horses with the Z after them. The homebred Piet, European Championship team gold medalist, and finished 4th in the individual last summer. Looking very clean. This horse really coming off the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4. That looked like 4 to 5 strides down to the treble combination. So he's a bit quick coming down to it, but got out of it well. To the planks. Checking now his distance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A little bit of a pat-pat halfway down there as Piet Rijmakers was just correcting his horse's gait. Only the double now. Is this our third clear round in this Volvo World Cup qualifier here in Hertogenbosch in Holland? Yes, it is. And he's inside the time allowed. So, another one for Holland. And another one for the team Optibus. Piet Rijmakers just having a bit of a fight there with Retina Z. And down into that treble combination, but beautifully ridden out of it and corrected. 3 clear rounds now to go forward to the jump off against the clock. To remind you, Jos Lansink for Holland with Libero H. And here's Ludger Beerbaum, by the way. He's found the shoe. He's going to need that for the jump off. Just letting us know that he's got it, and that'll be quickly nailed back on. And Beerbaum, of course, with Almox Rush On, and Piet Rijmakers with Optibus Retina Z. Eric Navet now from France, the reigning world and European champion, with Waiti Roxanne de Gruchy. It's a 9-year-old mare by Sartiles. And Eric, who was 2nd in Amsterdam, 3rd in Bordeaux, but he rather blew it there. He picked up time faults when it was absolutely in his pocket. And that was with his World Championship and European Championship ride, Waiti Quito de Bossy. And he finished 9th in Dortmund. Eric, by the way, won the Grand Prix of the city of Hertogenbosch here on this horse, Roxanne de Gruchy. French riders tend to have a very definite style of their own. They tend to go for their keeping their horses a bit long in form. And then once they see they're right for the fence, then they literally just put the horse in and say, help yourself. But Nave's having to ride very hard down that treble combination. But this horse, only 9 years old, in show jumping terms, is quite young. Still got a lot of mileage to get on the clock, and a lot to learn about this very tough and demanding sport, both on horse and rider. Again, had to help the horse there by pushing on through his seat. And it's all just coming apart there towards the end. In fact, a bit sloppy there, weighty Roxanne de Grouchy. I don't think there was a lot Nave could have done about it. It really all went there, took off far too soon, way back. Then that jump and a kick, which must have lost their balance. Bit of a playing around there, and absolutely flat into that big oxer going in, and Nave completely left behind, coming out over the vertical. 8 faults then for Eric Nave and weighty Roxanne de Grouchy. Leslie McNaught Mandley with Pirol B. Leslie, who was talking about Ted Edgar and the Everest Yard when we had Nick Skelton in the ring. Well, Leslie spent her formative years with Ted Edgar and riding for Everest, but rides for Switzerland now after marrying Marcus Mandley. 12-year-old Westphalian, this Pirol B, by a horse called Pilote. And you'll remember from earlier in the program, just in case you've just joined us, that Leslie McNaught won the Volvo World Cup qualifier in Dortmund, and she's the reigning Swiss national champion as well. This horse, previously ridden by Walter Gabatuller, not an easy ride, tends to just over-anticipate. But Leslie's had a lot of experience during her years with Ted and Liz Edgar, riding all sorts of different horses, as has Nick Skelton, and doesn't it show? Again, she had to drive very hard to make that distance to the third element. Didn't interfere with him there at all, just let the horse float on down. They come out of that line. Now only the double to go. Leslie McNaught Mandley and Pirol B. Oh, that was barely a tap. In this game, a tap's just as bad as a thump, but you still get 4 faults for it. So we still have 3 clear rounds. There's the jockey Stan and Patrick Caron there in the collar and tie, the French team manager. We still have 3 clear rounds. Jos Lansing for Holland, Lutke Beerbaum for Germany, Pete Reimarkers then for Holland. As Leslie goes through that double. And I don't think there was a lot she could do about that. As we come on to Evelyn Blaton for Belgium, with Optibus Windsor. It's a Hanoverian bred, or in fact it's a Dutch bred horse, this. I think last week we were talking about it and I got it mixed up with a horse of the same name that used to be ridden by Hugo Simon, but this is a Dutch bred 12-year-old. That's by Rumar. Evelyn, who's based with the Paul Schockermoller stable in Germany, but still rides for her native country, Belgium. Almost certain to be in the Belgium team, if luck looks after her, in this summer's Olympic Games in Barcelona. She's made it to 3 Volvo World Cup finals. Her best result was 12th in 1990. Ooh, well, that's luck going the other way. You need that bit of a smile from her when that happens. To the treble combination, one stride, flat at that, and the horse trying to correct the stride there to come out. Now to this line along the fence, the barrier. All 8 now on the scorecard for Evelyn Blaton for Belgium and Optibus Windsor. nicely out over that last double, though. So we're still looking at 3 clear rounds for the tiebreaker. Evelyn Blaton and Windsor go through that treble combination. In fact, I think they dropped 2 rails there. One going up and one coming down. I say 3 clears. Jos Lansing for Holland, Luca Beerbaum for Germany, Pete Rijmakers for Holland. Otto Becker now for Germany with Optiber's Lucky Luke. It's a 13-year-old Holsteiner by that Great Stallion Landgraf. Otto, who's made it to 2 Volvo World Cup finals, is 4th in 1991. He's a World Championship team silver medalist in Stockholm. And he too is based with Paul Schockamola, along with Franka Slutark and Evelyn Blaton. This Optiber's sponsored team, so professional and so successful on the world circuit. Certainly dominating this at the moment, with both Lansing and Raymakers through to the jump off. And Becker just having a few little knocks, but he's getting away with them. 1, 2, 3, 4, I think it was 5 in fact. I missed his first one, but he's going to be absolutely on the button down that treble combination. Spot on. Superb judgment. The horse really firing with all its power. So gets the jumping horse up into the air, throwing that back end away. And 2 more fences to go. Is this going to be our 4th? For the final, Otto Becker for Germany with Optiber's Lucky Luke gets the first element. Pat Pat gets the second. That's our 4th clear round. They will go forward to the jump off, which will be against time. Becker dead accurate down this. The horse absolutely tucking up those front legs, throwing that back end away. You can see his tail coming back over his spine to get lovely and clear through that. So we have 4 to go then. It's a quartet to go into the final against the clock. Jos Lansing for Holland, he'll be the first to go with Optiber's Libero H. Ludger Beerbaum for Germany with Almoc's Rush On. Pete Raymakers for Holland with Optiber's Retina Z. And the last to go will be Otto Becker for Germany with Optiber's Lucky Luke. So that will be the 4 to go into the tiebreaker against the clock. You've got to go off for a break now, but join us again soon for that jump off here in Holland. Welcome back to the Brabanthallen in Hertogenbosch, Holland. We're just going into the jump-off now for this Volvo World Cup qualifier. There's 4 to go. The jump-off course over 6 fences. That'll be 7 jumping efforts. It's a shortened course. Time allowed 48 seconds. There's a recap on the quartet. Jos Lansing for Holland, Luca Beerbaum for Germany, Pete Rijmakers for Holland, and last to go, Otto Becker for Germany. So it's Jos Lansing on course first with Optiber's Libero H. In fact, I'm just having a look down my list of the finalists. We've got 3 of the 4 riding under the Optiber's banner. That must spell some kind of success. Jos, as I was saying earlier, back after a nearly 5-month layoff with a broken leg. This is tremendous form for him to come back at this level so well and so accurately from that first round. I'd say it's a shortened course over 6 fences, 7 jumping efforts, time allowed 48 seconds. Long sweeping turn over to the far side to the Oxer. Now here he's got 2 turn backs. He's coming on an angle over that vertical, drops very short, turns short as well, cuts that one as tight as he can at an angle again. Then he's got to find a line down to the double, through that. One more fence to go. Jos Lansink for Holland with Optera's Libero H. And that's the standard. And the horse is celebrating it as well. That's the way to enjoy it, isn't it? Don't jump and kick while you're on the jumping course. Do it afterwards and show the 8,000 crowd here how much you enjoyed it. So that's our leader from the opening berth. Jos Lansink for Holland with Optera's Libero H. Clear round in 38.42 seconds. Right, Ludwig Beerbaum now for Germany with Almox Rush On. And just taking a look. Yep, all 4 shoes are back. So he's had that shoe he kicked off in the first round. They've obviously had it put back on again. So 38.12 seconds is the standard. Ludger just looking around the course to see his line. Time saved in those turnbacks, not just on opening up and thrusting and galloping around it. Now to this double turn back again. He's got that on a very short angle. In fact, I'm making him about the same time on that split time, but he's just dwelling a bit. Bit of a steering problem coming around to the vertical. And a nice straight line down to the double. And oh no, disaster. Whoops. Almox Rush On just didn't see the stride for that, or he said, no boss, this is not for me this time. So they pick up 3/4 for that. Beerbaum just trying to settle the horse. So this was a top national horse. Could just be lack of experience there, because certainly he never looked like coming off the ground. In fact, getting quite upset about it now. Oh, and he's napping it again. No, they'll pick up another 6 for that. That counts as their second refusal. So not a happy ride for Ludger Beerbaum. Almox Rush On just not in the mood for this. Going down for a 3rd try. No, that's it. Bell goes, they're eliminated. That counts as 3 refusals. Well, it's Almox Rush On, just a horse with a bit of a mind of his own, but Beerbaum just pops him over another one there just to get his confidence. But not happy at all. Yet all was looking good, although it started to fall a bit when they went to that vertical. Now there's Lansink watching these finalists with that super lead he's got, a 38.42. 33.42 in fact. I think we'll find. Anyway, we'll have a recap on that at the moment. P right markers now for Holland with Optibus Retina Z. And in fact, I've just checked that time of Lansing's. It is 33.42 seconds. And Reimarker's really taking a cut. Covering the ground quickly. And economically, ooh, a little bit of a problem there. Horse didn't quite know whether to go or not, but took his shot for it. Beautiful angle over that. Lovely balance run down to this double. Oh, and just dragged the hind legs through, and again. Well, that was the gamble Reimarker's had to take. He had to take on that time of Lansing's. And look at it, 33.04. But 2 fences got in the way. No matter how fast you are, there's a clear in front of you. That's the winner. Just tried to reach for it, but didn't kick that hind end away. Tried to then coming out over the vertical. Lansink standing over the gate in the funnel there. Fairly happy about it, but he's got one more now to watch. And stretch his nerves. Aldo Becker from the last draw, the 4th to go, with Optibus Lucky Luke. Remember that time of Lansing's, 33.42, and clear. Now what's Becker going to do? Is he going to go for the steady clear and pick up the points? Points in these Volvo World Cup qualifiers, run 20, 17, 15, 13, then it's -1 down to 16th place. 10 leagues around the world, and they're all looking for points on that league because that's what gets them to the Volvo World Cup finals in Del Mar, California next month. As Becker goes a flyer through the starting gate, he's not going for the steady clear. He's taking a crack at this one with Optiber's Lucky Luke. Checks a bit on this angled turn, and the horse very clever there. Just kicked his legs out of the way. Down to the second last. This is the double combination. And Becker looking slower and faulted. So it's all over. Jos Lansing has won it for Holland, riding Optiber's Libero H. And there's Jos punching the air. What a comeback for him. Becker, just for the record, finished the second, and I was talking about the points earlier. That's an important part of the record. 4 faults and 35.66. Final result then. Jos Lansing first for Holland. Second, Otto Becker for Germany. Third, Piet Reimakers for Holland. And fourth, Lutke Beerbaum for Germany. Fifth place went to Bert Romp for Holland with Valdo E. Equal Roger-Yves Bost for France, President Papillon-Bosé, Jean-Claude Van Gienberg, Frank Sluthark with Optiber's Volzer-Koenig, Leslie McNaught with Pirol B. Nice to have Jos Lansing back, isn't it? So there's the European standings now after 10 rounds. Lutke Beerbaum and Thomas Fruman on 69 points. Britain's Veronique Whittaker in third place. Leslie McNaught for Switzerland in fourth on 55. Eric Navet for France in fifth place on 54 points. Frank Sluthark and Otto Becker for Germany equals 6, 52. Jean-Claude Van Gienberg for Belgium, Michael Whittaker for Britain on 50 points each equal 8th. Roger-Yves Bost for France 10th with 45 points. 11th, Jean-Marc Nicolas for France, 43. Thomas Fuchs for Switzerland, 41. His brother Marcus with 39 points. Ireland's Eddie Mackham with 38 points and equal 15th. Britain's Tina Cassan and Belgium's Evelyn Blaton all on 37 points each.